Harper and Cole were best friends. They'd been through serious trauma together and made it out on the other side, not without significant injury, but bonded more than ever. The pair were inseparable. Then came the day that Cole could no longer walk. The pain was too great, and he passed away. Harper laid beside him for hours. In the following weeks, he kept himself isolated from others, just sitting near the pond he and Cole used to frequent. 2 months later, Harper, grief-stricken, passed away as well. Cole and Harper, these loyal friends, were ducks. Hi, it's Emily from Bite Size Vegan, and welcome to another Vegan Nugget. Something that we humans have long used to distinguish ourselves from other animals is our ability to experience complex and profound emotions. But is this ability really isolated to our own species? And if animals do have the capacity to emote, what does that say about the way that we treat them? Strangely, we tend to place emotional capacity on some animals and not others, as evidenced by how we pathologically anthropomorphize our pets. The same person who will tell you that chickens surely can't grieve will, in the next breath, give you a full psychoanalysis of their dog's emotional state. So between our callous writing off of some animals' emotional capacity and our own emotional projection upon others, where does science fit? Though Darwin believed that, given the evolutionary connection between humans and other animals, emotions must be similar across species, this concept fell out of favor in the scientific community by the early 20th century. Attribution of what were seen as human emotions to animals was, and often still is, viewed as anthropomorphic and subjective. But slowly, this stance has begun to relax, as data from within the animal behavior scientific community has repeatedly challenged the assertion that non-human animals lack the capacity for complex emotions. It started with two of the mammals that we humans tend to value more: chimpanzees and elephants. Anthropologist Jane Goodall documented and observed the heartbreaking account of the young chimpanzee Flint's decline and death from grief only weeks after his mother passed away. In her book, Through a Window, Goodall recounts, Flint became increasingly lethargic, refused food, and, with his immune system thus weakened, fell sick. The last time I saw him alive, he was hollow-eyed, gaunt, and utterly depressed, huddled in the vegetation close to where Flo had died. The last short journey he made, pausing to rest every few feet, was to the very place where Flo's body had lain. There he stayed for several hours, sometimes staring into the water. He struggled on a little further, then curled up and never moved again. Now, elephants are something of the poster children for animal grieving, as they have been observed on many occasions visiting the bodies of fallen members of their species, even outside of their own family, and caressing the bodies or even bones with their trunks. A particularly compelling example of elephant mourning comes from Ian Douglas Hamilton of Save the Elephants. When Eleanor, the dying matriarch of an elephant family, collapsed, a matriarch named Grace from another family immediately came to her aid, using her tusks to support Eleanor back onto her feet. When Eleanor fell again, Grace stayed with her, pushing on her body for at least an hour, even though her own family had moved on. Then, Eleanor died. During the course of the week that followed, females from 5 different elephant families, including Eleanor's, showed keen interest in her body. Some individuals appeared upset, pulling at and nudging her body with their trunk or feet, or rocking back and forth while standing over her. It's easier for us to recognize emotions in these larger-brained mammals, particularly ones that we traditionally have romantic notions about, like elephants, gorillas, chimpanzees, and dolphins. We can look at the account from Fabian Ritter of Mammal Encounters Education Research of a rough-toothed dolphin mother pushing and carrying her dead calf's body for miles, or Ghana, the captive gorilla who carried the body of her dead infant around, and recognized profound loss, even grief. We hear accounts of dogs holding vigil over their owners' graves or bodies, and passing away soon after, and don't even question whether they are mourning. But what about those species that we don't feel so connected to, like birds or fish, or, even more troubling, what about those species that we enslave, kill, and consume? We see elephants' recognition and mourning of their fallen brethren as the remarkable practice of an intelligent and emotional species. But what do we say about the sorrowful bellowing of this bull as he encounters his own slaughtered kin on a public street display of cow meat and skin? Here is a species we consume en masse and widely portray as unintelligent and unemotional. But what is this, if not agonizing grief? We've already heard of Harper and Cole, the two ducks with the inseparable bond. The trauma that they had both endured was life and near death on a foie gras farm where they were violently force-fed, resulting in hepatic lipidosis, a liver disease. Harper also lost sight in one eye, and Cole was left with deformed legs, a disability which eventually ended his life, and subsequently, due to immense grief, Harper's as well. These two ducks had a profound friendship, and Harper experienced the loss of his dear friend in a manner that, if expressed in a dog, cat, elephant, great ape, or other more relatable species, would unquestionably be seen as deep mourning. But we simultaneously acknowledge and dismiss this capacity in our food animals. In 2013, residents of Newbury, Massachusetts, called into the police regarding strange and disturbing inhuman sounds near the Sunshine Dairy Farm. The police sergeant put out a statement assuring citizens that the noises were coming from mother cows lamenting the separation from their calves. She explained that it was a yearly occurrence and is a normal function of a working dairy farm, and that the cows were not in distress. How can we, on the one hand, recognize mothers crying out in agony for their babies so loudly and desperately that people in town can hear them, yet on the other hand say that they are not in distress? And, more importantly, how do we continue to justify this treatment as a normal part of our practices? Is kidnapping the newborn children of other beings so that we can steal their milk really normal? And is it really worth all of that heartache and loss? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves when confronting the emotional lives of non-human animals. We may want to chalk it all up to evolutionary instinct. Western scrub jays, for example, hold what we would call funerals when they encounter a dead member of their species. Teresa Iglesias and colleagues from the University of California at Davis noted that jays, on seeing a dead bird, gather around and cry out. This is seen to be a tactic to warn others of a danger, and thus evolutionarily beneficial. But most aspects of grief are not advantageous at all. So why then do animals, us included, have this emotion? In her article, When Animals Mourn, anthropologist Barbara King proposes that what is adaptive then may not be grief itself, but instead the strong positive emotions experienced before grief comes into the picture, shared between two or more living animals whose level of cooperation in nurturing or resource acquisition tasks is enhanced by these feelings. Sciencey words aside, if there is grief, there must have been love. King goes on to state that love in the animal world often entwines with grief in an acute mutuality, perhaps even more than the degree of social cohesion within a species. It is love between individuals that predicts when grief will be expressed. Strangely enough, we are consistently astounded by non-human animals' emotional capacities. Every now and again, there's a new article or study expounding upon the amazing possibility that non-human animals may feel X, Y, or Z emotion, or be far more intelligent than we once thought. Yet somehow we don't take these revelations to their ultimate conclusion. Animals obviously possess complex inner lives that we are not entirely privy to. And is it really ethical to treat them as inferior, unemotional, unintelligent creatures until we decide we have enough evidence to the contrary? As to why animal emotions are not studied more, King makes the apt observation that to plumb the depths of animal thinking and feeling means to reassess how we, collectively as a society and individually as persons, treat other animals. Confronting other animals' capacity for emotion means confronting our behavior towards and treatment of them, and relegating them to an inferior status is certainly easier and far more comfortable for us. But whether it's a story of a group of horses holding vigil at their friend Storm Warning's grave, or Tara the elephant grieving for her canine friend Bella, or the anguished cries of sea lions when their babies are taken by predators, or even the heart-wrenching grief of a mother dairy cow whose child has been ripped from her, it is undeniable that non-human animals are emotional beings. They may grieve differently from us, and from one another, but their loss is no less profound, and their heartbreak no less tragic. And they deserve our respect and compassion. If you want more information about the research and case studies I mentioned, please see the blog post for this video linked in the video description below. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this subject. Do you have an experience observing non-human animal grief? Do you believe in their emotional capacity? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and share it around to give a well-deserved voice to these animals' grief. If you want to help support Bite Size Vegan so I can continue to produce high-quality educational videos, please check out either of the support links in the video description below. You can give a one-time donation or receive perks and rewards for your support, like early access to all of my videos, by joining the Nugget Army. You can click on that icon there or the link that's down below. If you're new here, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button down there for more awesome vegan content every Monday, Wednesday, and some Fridays. I would love to have you as a subscriber. And all of the links here and to anything that I've mentioned during this video will be in the description below for those of you on your phone or tablet. Now go live vegan, and I'll see you soon. If anyone really wonders if animals can grieve, they just need to see when you're done eating and there's no more food. It's a very sad time. It's a very sad time.